Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Stephen Roman. I'm the President and CEO of Global Atomic Corporation, and happy to be here with Matt Corp.
Yeah, are you happy?
I am happy.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. Well, why not? It's sunny. It's sunny in London.
It's a beautiful day.
Lots of uranium buyers downstairs.
Yes.
Nuclear people surrounding us. Lots to be happy about. But you've kindly agreed, and I know it's sort of a delicate time in terms of we kind of can't say, and I've got to ask the question on everyone's lips, which is Niger. Been a difficult few weeks. So what do you know? What do we need to know?
Okay. Well, I've been asked that question a lot here in London, of course. Niger has undergone some sort of a political process here, not atypical of Africa. I lived through a coup in 2010. And, I think this will be resolved. It looks like there's some serious negotiating underway.
Between who? Who's in the talking?
Well, I would say the military junta, the Americans, the Algerians, they're all involved. The French, of course, everybody's been hearing that they want them out of there. And I think there's been some slow movement to that effect.
Okay.
But I think that there's been a decision to have democratic elections again at some point. So whether it's in 6 months or a year, we don't know at this point in time. The junta would like longer to get things sorted out from their point of view, but I think the plan is to have things move a little bit faster.
So democratic process is in discussion. It's kind of like Mali. They're the same process, right?
Yeah.
So, and I also would need to say they've been like 70 coups in Africa since 1950. So it's different, but it's not unusual process in Africa. Transition of government, sometimes people refer to it as. So their conversations going. Algerians, locals getting involved. US, I guess they've got a big.
Well, they've got a big presence. They've got a big presence in Niger. I mean, they have a big new embassy in Niamey.
Right.
But more importantly, they have a very strategic base in Agadez.
Right.
With 12 to 1,500 troops there and a lot of activity in the region. So.
Right. But do they have an economic interest in the region? Because the U.S. usually sort of dives in when there's a lot of oil or there's a lot of commodities there, which,
Well, I mean, clearly we've made deals with North American utilities at this point, so
okay,
they do need uranium, and uranium has been a big strategic asset for Niger. But I think what's important for people to recognize here is that they've put a new cabinet in place, which includes mostly civilians. There's a new mines minister who used to be the head of Sopamin, the Niger uranium company. Okay, so he's a well-known fellow. He's well-known to our management team in place there in Niamey, our GM, our Director General. We've already met with him, and he's promised to give us a letter of support. They want us to continue unabated. We said, well, listen, this is all great, but you need to open up the borders. So the borders, let me just say that the borders now with Burkina Faso, obviously, with Algeria, are open. The main border that we were using was with Benin. Yeah. So Benin has the port of Cotonou, and the port of Cotonou is a main import-export port for that country. As long as the Benin border's closed, we're looking at Lomé or Ghana to bring things around through Burkina Faso. So we're looking at alternative routes for logistics, right?
So, but that's logistics in terms of inbound supplies for the build. But in terms of eventually, this is going to be a short-term thing. I think we'll understand that. But where does the uranium get exported from? Which port?
From Cotonou.
That's Cotonou as well. Okay, I see. Just future knowledge. Okay, so time-wise expectations, this thing gets resolved in some way, shape, or form. Discussions are happening, and usually they resolve themselves. It's taking a little bit longer, which I guess brings uncertainty into the market, and the market just wants a little bit of certainty.
Well, I mean, it hasn't been that long. It's been sort of 6 weeks, I guess, or end of July. So, yeah, about 6 weeks.
Right.
I think it takes a little bit longer than that. The coup I lived through in 2010 took 10 months to resolve, and they went to free and fair elections, and President Issoufou was elected. He was very successful and ran the country for about 10 years until Mr. Bazoum was elected. So now I guess there's been some political reorganization happening here, and we just have to wait and see when they hold their next election.
Right. Okay. And in terms of your ability to do, it sounds like they want you to kind of get on with stuff.
Oh, they definitely do.
You need some assurances, not just about open borders, but in terms of your ability to do work in country.
Well, right now, we've stopped physically mining. However, we've been paving the ramp.
Right.
So we are now well ahead of schedule on the mining.
Okay.
So we're down to the ore zone already. We've now paved the ramp down to the ore zone. But daily items that you need for continuing mining, like bits and rock bolts, things like that, they have to come in from out of country.
Right.
So this is the critical items that we need to continue mining.
Yeah.
So until they start flowing in again, either through Benin or through Burkina Faso, we're looking at all the options right now. We're doing infrastructure improvements and camp improvements, ramp improvements, all of those kinds of things at site. And of course, we're completing a lot of our detailed engineering and procurement.
Yeah.
So, for instance, the acid plant that's being built in India, construction has started on that. We have our SAG mill being built in South Africa. All of those kinds of components, critical components, they've been effectively moved forward.
Right. So is that your message to people downstairs, buyers, funders, and the market? I guess more broadly is like there are a lot of moving parts which are moving. However, they'll want some assurances as to what kind of environment you're going to be able to operate in. So if this junta stays, I guess, immobile and intransigent in their stance, do you have to wait for them to resolve if it's a 10-month process, or can we get on?
No. They want us to continue doing what we're doing.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. So they obviously like the jobs that we're creating there. We have 200 people working on site.
I bet.
And they want that to continue. Obviously, it's providing a lot of benefits to the region.
Yeah.
All the local villages, the whole thing. So, I mean, they don't want that to stop.
No, I bet, because there's it's not just employment, local employment and stuff, but eventual tax income and
exactly
encouraging foreign direct investment in other ways, because there's obviously lots of other commodities that people are going after there. But in terms of I come back to that question. What are they enabling you to do? What you need to do? Because ECOWAS,
yes.
They're trying to put a lot of pressure on the junta to actually allow to get on with things, right? But as part of that encouragement, should we say, or incentivization, they're going to make it difficult for goods to kind of come in and out of country. They're going to make it difficult for money to move in and out of country. Well, they've got to do that, haven't they?
Well, ECOWAS, initially there was a lot of saber rattling there, and they're going to invade, and of course Burkina Faso, Mali said, well, you can't do that because we're going to be siding with Niger, and so everybody decided to down tools and let's solve this in a diplomatic.
Heads have prevailed,
Saner heads have prevailed, so that's the way it's going. You have to remember that with now the blessing of the new mines minister and telling us to proceed unabated here, that this is all good, because when this first happened, people thought, oh, they're going to nationalize the project.
Right.
The banks are going to walk away. None of that's happened.
Right.
Okay, the banks are still there. We're finalizing the term sheet right now with our lenders for the project financing.
Yeah.
The mining project's ongoing. All the engineering is ongoing. Now, the big thing is logistics. This is the big issue.
Yeah.
So which port do you use? How are you going to get materials into site if Benin stays closed? They've opened up, as of Monday, the airspace, so you can fly in and out again. So, things are moving there in the positive way. Okay. So I think, we got hit with a 50% pounding on our stock before people really knew what was happening. Now, uncertainty breeds this sort of thing in the market.
Yeah.
But I think people now are realizing, okay, they haven't lost the project. This thing's still moving ahead. The banks are still there. And the uranium market's just gone up another $5 a pound. So you know what? We're just going to move ahead and do this. During other regime changes in Niger, which there's been a few of them over the years, the Orano operations to the north never stopped operating. So France was getting its supplies from Colmenac and Somaire. Right now with Port of Cotonou cut off because of the Benin border, of course, uranium is piling up there at Somaire and they're not shipping. But that's eventually going to start moving again.
Okay, the tone I'm getting is you're kind of quietly confident that things are going to get back to normal.
That's a good read of tone.
Right. You're so subtle. I'm surprised you weren't saying there's a buying opportunity if you're a shareholder, a buying opportunity if you're not a shareholder. But no, you have taken a pounding, right? But there, and I guess does lie the opportunity. It's not nice for people who kind of bought in higher, but maybe it's a nice chance to average down, average up a bit in terms of where they're at.
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
like we had, listen, all the institutions, we've spoken to all of our institutions that are invested in Global Atomic. All of them said they're supportive. They know this is going to pass, and a lot of them have been lowering their average cost. So, we were doing financings at $3, $4 a share. All of a sudden, you get an opportunity to buy at $1.50.
Yeah,
there's been a lot of support down at these levels.
There's been a lot of support, and I guess with time will come resolution. Will come agreements in country, and with that comes certainty and confidence and momentum back in the market, which again should drive a bit of interest. In the meantime, if you're a smart contrarian player, you're probably buying now. But if you do, but you are in no rush. I know you're talking about term sheets, but do you feel it would be smart to wait this out a bit if it's not too crazy, or is there no kind of end date in mind? So no end date.
Well, we don't know.
Can't.
No, well, that's right. I mean, how long is a string? So, you just carry on with your business as well as you can.
Oh, I get you're doing that. Things are moving forward, but I'm talking about in terms of the money, when you decide to press the button and set a price for, because obviously, mining's mining, right? Mining's tough. Stuff happens all day, every day, and you got to put those buyers out. That's your role, right? So I understand that, and it's always been the case in good markets and bad. But in a moment like this, where this is like the second instance where things outside of your control kind of come and give you a whack on the shin.
You've had our fair share in 2023.
Yeah. So, but you have choice, because you also have some cash in the bank. So it's a choice about how quickly to move, and that arbitrage between if I do it now versus waiting. What does that look like? So
listen, our cash can last us for a year right
there
now.
There you go. Okay.
And we can still continue, complete all the engineering, have everything ready to go.
Yeah.
And we don't have to go to the market now.
Okay, there you go.
So you know what? I think we'd like to keep things rolling. So, get the terms done on the project financing.
Yeah.
We won't draw down on any debt until we're ready to do so. And of course, we have to spend our 40% before we can start drawing down on the 60.
Yeah.
So, in the meantime, get things done that need to be done anyway. Conserve your cash as much as possible so you don't have to get pressured to go and do a financing.
Yeah.
And, keep the project moving forward.
Okay, good. So that, because I just wanted to sort of understand what the mindset was there in terms of the timing, the allocation of capital, and obviously, that signals to the marketplace. You got time by the sounds of it, so that's good news. What's Turkey doing for you? Is it doing anything for you?
Well, Turkey this year is going to be pretty much flat, I would say.
Right.
We've had the double whammy of
earthquake,
zinc prices going down to $1.06 from $1.60.
Yeah.
And 2 mega earthquakes. So steel mills now are getting back up to speed. We are running full at the moment, but typically we will run until we run out of EAFD, and then we'll have to stop for a month and accumulate more EAFD.
Right.
So if all the mills come back online, and a number of them were shut down during those earthquakes or after the earthquakes, then we'll be able to start generating some cash flow from that again. Of course, you got to remember this is a long-lived, brand-new plant.
Yeah.
It's going to be there for 50 years.
Yeah.
And you do have better cycles. Some of the raw material inputs like coking coal, I think the prices need to come down on those again. They went from $100 a ton to almost $300. So it's raised our costs.
Yeah.
And of course, with the zinc price coming down and the stoppages due to the earthquakes, I think this year is going to be flat.
How do you know sure is that, I guess long-term average zinc price over a 40, 50 year annuity stream?
Yeah.
Percentage of
Yeah.
that, the company's percentage of it, I should say. And cashing that in now to negate the kind of financing requirements.
I've
now.
been asked exactly. You gotta see what makes sense. But no, listen, we've asked Bethesda about something like that, and they said, listen, now's really not the time to sell.
Right. Because they're the natural buyer, clearly.
They are the natural buyer, and they would like to have the other 49%.
Yeah.
However,
do they have right of first refusal, or could you engage?
You could probably go out and engage somebody else to make a bid, but they know there's a right of first refusal. So they're probably not going to act as a stalking horse, although maybe you can do that.
I like the annuity stream. I always like annuity stream. Hey, okay, so that may be a case of zinc needing to recover, factories needing to restart. We're looking, and it was annual payment, is it March, April sort of payment scheduled to that, but you reckon it's going to be flat?
No, well, we get monthly management
You get monthly
fees,
management, sure, but
sales commissions.
But the big money.
The big money comes annually after the AGMs. Yeah.
Right, okay. You reckon that's going to be flat for 24? It's a big lump sum.
Well, no,
25.
23 will be flat.
When's 23 paid?
In 24.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, so
right. So
get the cash.
24 financial year paid in March, April 25. That's when one hopes the zinc price is recovered, plants are up and producing, and you're running at nameplate capacity.
That would be good.
Okay. Cool. We can't be here at the WNA and not have a conversation about what's going on downstairs. What are people here talking about? What's the buzz?
The buzz is that utilities are starting to wake up.
Yeah, I got that message too this morning at breakfast before I had a coffee.
I think there's definitely some interest in contracting. We've got a half a dozen discussions going on with utilities right now. Despite Niger, everybody knows that's going to get sorted. There's no deposits in Africa like this one. So, no, we've had some very exciting discussions. And, people want to see that maybe we release our term sheet on the bank financing and get some of that behind us. Obviously, they want the contracts we do have. We have good relations with those utilities. They want to be kept up to date with what's happening there. But definitely the uranium market is woken up. Yes,
it's definitely woken up. I don't think, for me, the kind of not the buzz, but certainly one of the conversations that kind of is repeating itself over and over is like because I don't know if you've seen the report or not yet. They're talking about this kind of supply numbers because they don't use dollars, and there's quite a bit of information which they're not allowed to use as part of their calculations about production going forward. So it's quite. But the people in the industry are saying not all those line items are going to get into production, certainly not at those rates and certainly not at those dates. The near-term producers are going to have a lot of leverage going forward with utilities, and that'll be interesting to see what that does to price when there's no certainty around the volume of supply coming in to meet this demand. So that's got to pledge your hands a bit, really.
Well, you know what? I've been to a number of these conferences, nuclear energy, NEI and all of this stuff. Listening to people speaking at these conferences, utilities and government agencies, they're sort of starting to wonder where the uranium is going to come from. Because I think the U.S. has made a decision as of 2026, they're going to stop the Russian import. So they're saying, well, you know what? There's a little bit maybe coming out of Niger and maybe a little bit out of Mongolia and maybe a bit from Uzbekistan. The Canadian stuff's probably going to be a long ways away because of permitting. So where are we going to get all our uranium from?
Yeah. Everyone's gone quiet.
Yeah.
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 I know, right?
And, it's funny. Utilities typically are worried about UF6. But to make UF6, you need U308. So where's the U308 going to come from? And, China's sort of tied up most of the African production.
Yeah.
They've got a big chunk of Kazakh production. They're still out there looking for more. So I think it's just going to continue to tighten. That's my estimation.
Yeah, just a few months.
I think that the old high of 2027, it'll eventually go through that.
Yeah, I think it's been an interesting few months. Obviously, price moving about 61 yesterday, I think. But it's going to be an interesting few months going forward. And so obviously you've got conference in November as well, where utility buyers are going to have to, I guess, work out who's real and who's not. So do we investors.
Well, that's right. And I think that's always the case. And of course, rising tide floats all boats, and everybody in the uranium business will have a bit of a run. But at the end of the day, who's going to be able to produce?
Yeah, no, because the all boats floating are rising tide things. I must want to go get some of these zombie projects going, right? Just, they didn't work last few rounds, but maybe this time. Let's get one of them into a boat.
You know what? Lots of them might, but you need $100 a pound uranium.
Or more.
Yeah.
Or more. This idea, again, snippets from the corridors is where, we're talking about, again, one of the kind of poster child companies out there. And I said, well, see, uranium at, $60, getting quite close to incentivization price. And the insider goes, nope, that thing's been high graded to heck. You're going to need something like $90 uranium for that company to get anywhere near economic production. So there's all of those little, I guess, insights and those unspoken truths about the economics of certain projects are also going to affect people's. But you're sitting there around your 30. Was it $35? Where are we talking about for you for break even? Or
no, break even for us is probably around 20.
20. So 35, you're happy to go into production. Obviously, we're at 60. So life is good. But for some companies, not so much at the moment. So that affects the timing of some of the supply into the market if and when they can get finance to get into production as well. So that's what I mean. I think the supply is not a kind of flat line. It's very, very erratic.
It is. It is very erratic because you don't know as well as once you have a project that can go ahead, you still have to finance it and build it. And where's the expertise for all of that? For this huge period of time, there was no uranium mines built. A lot of the guys that knew how to do these things have retired or died.
Gone fishing.
So, there's not a lot of people that know much about the industry.
Yeah. Anyway, that's other people's problems, not yours. Good to see you, man.
Matt, good to see you.
Enjoy the next few days. It'll be brilliant to kind of hear from you after the event, see what you got to take away, what you learned. And especially those corridor conversations, they're the best, right?
Thanks a lot. It was good to see you.
Good to see you, man. Cheers.
Bye-bye.